And now it's time for Take 5 with Damien Elliott, the show where he comes out and interviews a celebrity.
Good evening, I'm Damien Elliott. On today's show, things are about to get a bit hairy because I'm about to interview a hairy monster. That is, Jesse Streisand, the main protagonist and leader of Jesse and Friends. He told our producer before the show went into taping that he and the gang have been active since 2015, but we want to find out more about them. That's why we're going to ask Jesse 18 in a row questions. Okay, lay it on me, Damien. Alright, first question. If you weren't working here, what would you probably be doing right now? Well, I'd be on vacation with my friends. You know you need a little R&R, right? Right. How did you become the leader of Jesse and Friends? Well, we had this movie and it was in development. It was called Jesse and Friends, the movie. It recalled how me and the gang got together, and I started out at a monster boarding school, and I met the whole gang in the most reclusive places. I met some of my most reclusive friends in the most reclusive places. Alright, what's the craziest thing a boss has ever asked you to do? Chores. But we always have to be quick about it. Right, next question. Would you rather work for 10-hour days or 5 8-hour days? 10-hour days would be the former. 5 8-hour days would be the latter. I would go with the former. Work with me and my friends, and we do lots of chores around our boarding house. I understand. If you were guaranteed to be successful, what job would you want? Well, I've always dreamed of being a director, or a co-producer, or the assistant to a representative. I really don't know what that means, but what was your first job? Did you like it? Well, my first job, I was really a student at that monster boarding school, as I told you before. No, I did not like it. But just when the monsters were about to get a hold on me, I told them a joke. And then one of the monsters, Cookie, gave me the idea of going to Hollywood to being a star. Oh, that's how you make a long story short. Okay, next question. What's the best career advice you ever received? The best career advice. The best career advice I've ever received. Well, let me think about it first. Alright, while you're thinking about it, let's move on to question number 9. Are you reading any good books right now? I'd love some recommendations. Well, one time I read this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And how about shows? Well, I love binge watching a lot of Netflix shows. Except for the shows except for the bad shows that I'm not allowed to watch, and that kids are not allowed to watch either. This is serious. Okay, 10th question. Are there any apps on your phone that you can't live without? There are plenty of apps on my phone that I can't live without right now, including Snapchat, because that's when I connect my friends even better. Yes, Snapchat. Snapchat is very important and very popular. If you could only watch one genre of movies for the rest of your life, what would it be? Horror, because there are lots of monsters in it just like me. I'm only kidding. Any kind of genre, if I can make up my mind. What's a book you hated that everyone else loved? And vice versa. A book that I hated but everyone else loved. Well, I'd have to say 7 Little Monsters because I get intimidated very easily. Oh, you get intimidated when reading 7 Little Monsters by Maurice Sendak. Alright, do you have any podcast suggestions for my commute? Oh gosh, podcast suggestions. Well, if you did a podcast... Wait, is this really a podcast? What's the last movie that made you cry or laugh aloud? What's the last movie that made me cry? What's the last movie that made me cry? Well, there were only two movies that made me cry. Braveheart starring Mel Gibson and Pixar's Up. And there was this one important character that died that made me cry. One time when we went to see Up at the theater, that character death happened, and I ran out of the theater crying. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, that movie made me cry too. That character death at the beginning of the movie, I kind of did the same thing you did. Oh, what was that? That's the question I have to ask you. I ran out of the theater crying myself. Truth, but not fact. Alright, next question. With whom would you want to be your amazing race partner? That's easy. My old buddy Steve. Although he does not want to cooperate. Who is your favorite person to follow on Instagram? Well, there are 3 people I love to follow on Instagram. A YouTuber that makes kid-friendly videos, a tall blonde girl with a pink streak in her hair, and Emma De Laurentiis, my other buddy. I don't know the other 2 people, but I do know your friend Emma. Alright, I got 2 more questions I want to ask you. Okay, lay them on me. Okay. What's your go-to comfort food? Well, there's Kellogg's Cherry Pop-Tarts and bananas. Alright, last question. What's the next trip you have planned? Well, there are 4 vacation destinations. There's Costa Rica, Denmark, Singapore, and Beaches Family Resorts by Sandal. Beaches. You know, I've always wanted to go to beaches. I've also wanted to go to Costa Rica. Mrs. Streisand, I wish you the greatest of a deal of luck. Why, thank you for having me on the show, Mr. Elliott.
You have been watching Take 5 with Damien Elliott.